We all have this spark that makes us wake up every day and do what we do. The things that I'm doing when it comes to impact female founder, raising strong community, having a fund that invests in diversity and female founder is a need, is not something that's nice to have. Welcome to my talk show, Cindy and Susan. I'm so proud to have you today. I'm feeling the energy all the way from New York to Berlin. And I see that it's sunny than here, although Berlin is quite okay today. It's very rare. How can I present you even? Like my friends, my mentors, my crazy group of Susan Castle. Like, I don't know how to even refer that. But Cindy, you are a phenomenal founder. We met in your apartment several years ago in Manhattan. And Susan, like, how can I even start? Multitasking Susan, phenomenal founder and investor yourself, and we all, and you are as well, part of a crazy group that's fighting very hard to change the world and to have a better future to our next generation, but definitely to the existing generation of female founder and women that dare to do crazy things to have a, better reality. So I know we have our monthly calls, but this is, special occasion having you on the talk show to maybe bring some of these important topics that we always have in our close circles to a broader audience. This is very, very important that we are able to impact for more people, on more people, to have these topics that we're dealing with and fighting for, all really together. So how can we start? I thought about how can I start to talk with them? Usually it's like, okay, what is new? What is new? What are you doing? How can we support each other? But, I thought about something that is very common to all of us. And let's maybe start with this. What is the DNA of, or supposed to be DNA, of a very, very successful female founder, female investor, really that makes the difference? And I would love to hear both of you. Susan, maybe you will start.
Sure. Well, I think, as women, people who don't usually get the spotlight, who don't get the funding, who don't aren't usually the investors. We have a particular lens of how we want the world to be. We want to shape the world in a way in which we want to live, right? And this is what what makes us special is we can use our funds, our knowledge, our connections, our intellect to really create the world in which we want to live. And that, I think, is I think that's who we are and what we want to do.
Absolutely.
So my response to that, Mali, is over and above what Susan said, which I wholeheartedly agree with. The fundamental of successful female founders is precisely that thing that investors claim they want to fund in founders generally, which is the dynamic that I would characterize as, and I'm afraid I'm going to use a profanity on your show. I hope that's okay. Feel free to beat me out later. But the DNA of any successful female founder is, I'm going to fucking well show you. You put an obstacle in my path, I'm going to fucking well show you. You tell me it can't be done, I'm going to fucking well show you. We female founders have much more resilient, persistent, determined, passionate, dedicated, and committed than our male counterparts. Susan said, we don't get funded, we don't get supported, we don't get championed. And the reason we have that passion, that fire, that I'm going to fucking well show you, is because we know two things that investors are only now starting to realize. The first is that every single female founder, and this is true of everybody in my network, and by the way, especially of female founders in my sector, which is sex, one of us started our venture because we encountered a personal problem, a personal issue, a personal challenge, and we created a highly effective solution to it. And what that means is that you can extrapolate out from every female founder to millions of women globally who have the same problem. In fact, in my case, with my startup, Make Love Not Porn, billions of women. We are unicorns that are currently. And the second thing that fires us up, and again, this is why every investor should be falling over themselves to fund female founders, is that we are an opportunity to get into the market on the ground floor because we are a massively devalued asset class. You can get female founders so cheap, comparatively speaking, and unicorns. We are the subprime mortgage of the tech world in a good way.
I cannot say it better than you are, and let's say in this circle, we understand. But Cindy, and also Susan, because that's what actually brought us together. When we met, Cindy, you said something that really hit me. I started to talk about raising Magda Group as a fund of fund. And, there's no fund of fund raised by women in Germany, almost not even Europe, because usually it's a family offices, that it's inherit money. And it's something that is disruptive, definitely with coming and say diversity, diversity, diversity. And then, Susan, you and me, we literally build, the movement, hashtag I'm a Magda, and everything that it's kind of like define what we need to change to make the reality different. So you said something that, Mali, although I'm okay, and I have the track record, and I'm quite famous, I have a big problem to fund. Is it the sex? Is it being a female founder? And actually, because of that, also you and Susan came to Berlin. You remember? It's also a differentiation of the culture. So I want you to refer to what I just mentioned.
We are thrilled to be talking to you, Mali, because quite frankly, Europe and Berlin and Germany can seize an opportunity the US is massively overlooking. Seriously, there's a huge opportunity to, outvision Silicon Valley right now in Europe. And that is the fact. And, I've been saying this for years. There is a huge amount of money to be made out of taking women seriously. And as we all know, Germany has not been taking women seriously. Europe women seriously, but now the right-minded visionary people are starting to see the opportunity when you do. And so, we deliberately bring a global perspective to all of this. But we would actually love to see Europe, we'd love to see Germany, we'd love to see Berlin be the absolute heart of understanding the massive potential in female founders, funding female founders, and generating female-founded unicorns in a way that the rest of the world is currently missing out on.
Right. And I think that extends both to sort of the white guy typical investors, as well as creating a whole new class of women investors, because I think that's what we're seeing here in the States. And, and that's just starting. But as Cindy said, which is rightfully so, women in Berlin and in Europe in general can be leaders here. There's a lot, I think women typically look to doing philanthropy. This is not philanthropy. As Cindy said, this is about making money. But I think at the same time, you can make money and do good at the same time and create that world we all want to see.
And also, sorry, just add in there. Everything we said about female founders is why LPs should be falling over themselves to put their money into female-founded funds. Because again, female VCs bring a completely different lens to deal flow. And they have the opportunity to see, again, these guaranteed unicorns, where you can extrapolate out from any female-founded business to the potential with millions, maybe billions of women worldwide. And so, everything we're saying applies to female founders and fund female-founded funds.
Bingo. And I will come back to this. And Susan, let's say cut the bullshit, you walk the talk. This is why I really want to highlight that. There are many people talking, and I'm there, I'm fundraising, I'm raising a fund, I'm supporting tons of female founders. You are doing this. You are literally deploying money and provide capital. And I want to hear from you. Back to what Cindy mentioned. Talk about culture differentiation.
So culture, well, I mean, in terms of deploying capital, I mean, yes, we very much believe what Cindy said, that it's a huge opportunity. This is business, right? We think this is an amazing opportunity to make a lot of money, and also fund work that we believe in. And we think that the opportunities are there for work that female founders have funded. And also, so we've funded, I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens of companies founded by women, but also dozens of funds that have been started by women as well. So, and we're seeing the results. We're seeing amazing results from the investments that we've done.
Fantastic. And I would love to talk more about results, because this is the bottom line. Women are executing, and the execution is phenomenal. And it's not even supposed to be a discussion anymore. You take responsibility. As Cindy mentioned, we know why you're doing this. We have a purpose. We always say it for Cindy, this is the next $1 billion category. She saw the need, she dive into it and answer a challenge or bringing solution for a certain challenge. But Susan, you're also investing in Berlin a lot. You're also investing in Europe. You live in New York. You have a lot of roots, your family also from Germany, which is also common to both of us. But on the same time, yes, I believe you can see from your own perspective a differentiation in the culture. And this is something that I would love you to talk about this, because usually I'm the elephant in the room, talking about, hey, you need to dream big. We need to change. You need to, to go get there. You need to dare to lead. And you're actually working with female founders from a different industries, from a different cultures. And I would love you, to share a bit about this overview. What is the difference? Why in Europe it seems that women are less fighter?
Well, I think part of it is that women in Europe have been pounded down day after day, year after year, not elevated to the positions that they deserve and they should be. They've been the background, they've been the assistants, they're the ones that are actually doing the work, and it's the white guys that have had, all of the press, and I think this is culturally and corporately, where the women aren't being the spokespeople for the companies. They're not getting the limelight that they deserve. And I guess, I've recognized that and, to your point, hopefully champion the women, because, these women are smarter. They're more, just as determined. They have, and even more so in terms of, founding companies. So we really think that just frankly, by lifting other women up and championing them, they are, will not just be as successful, but more successful than the men out there, because they've been given opportunities. And that's what we're trying to do with our money, is giving them opportunities to prove what we know all along, that they can succeed beyond all measure.
And I want to just build on what Susan just said, because all of the data shows that female founders exit faster. Female founders burn less cash. Female founders get to profitability sooner. Female to business culture. But all of those facts and figures are being overlooked by investors in favor of the emotional mindset of pattern matching with white men. Break that pattern, and you are looking at businesses will bring you far bigger returns far more quickly when you fund female founders.
Right. And I just wanted to, explain that pattern matching, because I think that's super important. You have these white male investors looking at, these young kids in their 20s, in their hoodies or whatever. And they're thinking, oh, that guy looks just like me when I was younger. I'm sure he can do it. There's not a problem. A woman comes through the door and then he starts grilling her on all the facts. What have you done? What's your experience? And there's this differentiation between how these different founders are viewed is just is abominable. And that's something that we should all set out to break.
And I want to go back to something. Susan. Yeah, I want to go back to something Susan said earlier, which is about the opportunity with female founders to do a huge amount of good and make a huge amount of money simultaneously, especially because we are looking at an utterly unique female lens. And I'm going to use myself as an example. My startup, Make Love Not Porn, is pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference. We are the world's first user-generated, human-curated social sex video sharing platform with a mission to end rape culture. And by doing something very simple that nobody else is doing, we show you through our user-generated videos how wonderful sexual communicative sex is in the real world. We role model good sexual values and good sexual behavior, and we make all of that aspirational, what you see in porn. And basically, what that boils down to is that I want to change the way the world has sex and make a huge amount of money doing it. That's a uniquely female lens that no man would have thought of starting. And by the way, I'm very much hoping that in Europe, Germany, in Berlin, is where I will find the open-minded investors who get it and want to fund Make Love Not Porn to end rape culture globally.
Cindy, continue this pain, because I know this pain very well. And this is your uniqueness. We can talk about big and famous and be all over, and it's very easy to be on stage, definitely for you. But on the same time, this is the inner self, the struggling and the challenge. So why you think it's really challenging for you? Because if you look at 20-something female founder, she doesn't have what you have, and still you have challenge on fundraising. And I would love you to share with us, to share with the audience, what is the core of this problem?
Sure. Well, I represent the triple whammy of unfundability. I'm female, I'm older, I have a sex tech venture. But actually, Mali, my challenges with Make Love Not Porn are basically to do with the fact that our investors are out there. They are impossible to find by the usual means, because potential investors for Make Love Not Porn all have one thing in common. Your willingness to fund Make Love Not Porn is entirely a function of your personal sexual journey. It's a function of your personal lens on sex and sexuality experience, and there is no way to research and target for that, especially because sex is the area where you cannot tell from the outside what anybody thinks on the inside. You think would totally get it, don't. The people you thought were total prudes do. And so my approach to fundraising is I put what I'm doing out there all the time in the public domain, because I have to rely on those synapses being made that will draw those investors to me. And by the way, that does happen, especially, by the way, increasingly in the past year. People see what I posted on LinkedIn, they see what I put on Twitter, they listen to me on Paneling Clubhouse, and investors are reaching out. But as you can imagine, that is a very time-consuming, labor-intensive process without the efficiency that other founders have in more conventional sectors, or be able to search and go, oh, this investor wants to fund the sector I'm operating in. This investor, his interests or her interests are aligned with what. That's my challenge specifically.
100%. And, you know, when I'm landing in New York, maybe it's because I'm Israeli, I feel very at home. But it's maybe my different personality. You know, we split ourselves. This is when I'm landing in China, I feel different. When I'm landing in New York, I feel a different person. When I feel in New York, it's like, bum, you know, think big, the overachievement. I'm addicted to that. I have to say that. You know, my sister lives in California, and it's part of who I am. And on the same time, I know that America is very capitalistic, and like I would say it in a bad way and in a good way. I mean, it depends how you want to see it. And Susan, you know, at the moment you told me about the pilot that you're doing in Hudson Hub, and also this €500 that you mentioned, or dollar, sorry, that you mentioned that you're giving as a trial as well. This is totally a socialistic approach, you know. And hello, New York. Really, like, people really understand what you're doing there. Like, I definitely see it happening here in Germany or in Europe. But how you see the reaction from people around?
Yeah, I think people understand. So Hudson Up is the first small city UBI pilot happening in Hudson, New York. We're giving $500 a month for a period of 5 years. We're starting with 25 participants, but we're looking now to increase that. And you know, I think people understand, particularly in the entrepreneurial world, because they see that when you have a comfortable home base, when you don't have to worry about putting food on the table, when you don't have to worry about making rent, you can actually put your resources and your thoughts and your mind towards starting businesses. You can, if you want, you know, stay home with your kids, take care of your sick parent. You can travel, you can, you know, start an entire renaissance of arts. You know, it frees you up to do all of these wonderful things, and also for the community itself. So I think people are understanding that also technology is replacing jobs. So people are going to be out of work very soon. We're seeing that with, say, you know, self-driving trucks, where there are going to be millions and millions of truck drivers that are going to be out of work. And we have to figure out a way to pay people. And this is a perfect way for people to get money and then also create a whole new world, a whole new revolution, a whole new way of being that's, you know, comfortable and safe and can grow what we have. And hopefully there'll be a lot more women starting businesses in the process.
And this is exactly my question. Thanks for referring this, because, you know, we always said that impact investment and impact product is the fundamental of feminine economy. You know, we always, as Cindy mentioned, we're doing things for a purpose. You know, the reason I raised WLOUNGE was like, I wish I had that when I started, so someone can open the door for capital, for VC. If I'm scared from something, no, you don't have to scare. This is a mentor. This is a VC. This is an investor. Like, everyone are like here to support you. So at least you're not coming with a fear. But what you just mentioned and everything you're doing, it's definitely also touching the impact. And do you see the people that attract to this is actually people that touching more sustainable living? It's something that they are searching for a different way of life as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, in terms of sustainability, I mean, I actually think this is all related to climate, social justice, to a more equal, you know, giving more equality, giving people like a leg up that's where they can really thrive and prosper. So I think it's all connected. But I just want to come back to what you were saying about being supportive, because I think this is super key when, you know, we're thinking about investments in a better future, because, you know, certainly, you know, giving money and investing both in funds and directly in founders is super important for people to grow their businesses. But I think just as important, as you mentioned, is being each other's mentors, being each other's supportive group. Which means including making introductions, introducing people to potential customers, introducing people to partners. You know, there are the whole world of ways to support one another that doesn't just involve giving money.
And I want to just Mali, I want to pay tribute to what you said earlier about Susan, because Susan absolutely walks the talk like very few other women I've met. Susan is constantly looking at, how can I help this person? How can I help her take her business forwards? Who can I introduce her to? Who can I make connections with? And, I would really urge our listeners to think about how you do the same thing for female founders. I would like to urge the men listening to champion female founders, because it's second nature to men to champion male founders. In my tech network, and I've been years, I've seen men go out on a limb for other men, get men invested in a matter and fund in a matter of weeks. Men do that for women as well. But actually, many of you are in a far more powerful position to make those connections and make them matter for women and get female founders funded. So absolutely, we need an entire ecosystem of help and championing founders that gets them to a level playing field with male founders and creates ventures that will benefit all of us.
Yeah, and I appreciate the words, Cindy, but I have to say that it's also incredibly gratifying from my point of view. First of all, meeting incredible women, learning subjects that I had no idea about. I mean, you introduced me to the entire world of sex tech. And Cindy, I don't know if you remember this, but we had this wonderful evening of, we put on a sex tech salon. Do you remember that?
I was so touched when you and Albert hosted that. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
But it was wonderful for us as well. We got there were I guess maybe 5 female founded companies, all different aspects of sex tech. Cindy curating, and we invited potential investors to come and just listen. It was a casual evening, but that's such a great example of where we got as much out of it as hopefully the founders did.
I agree. And I'm always saying, like, once you mentor, you get so much back even. And something very touchy that I heard recently, that one female founder approached me and she said, Mali, I want a female investor, not because of the capital, because she is the one that will call me and to ask, how are you? Not only how is the business, And this is exactly what you mentioned, Susan. And, every conversation that we have, it doesn't matter how many women in the room, is like, okay, what are you doing and how can we help, and everyone start together. So this is an energy, because I have a great team that work with me also in WLOUNGE. Part of them are really native German, and all of them saying that specifically in Europe and in Germany, it's even harder for women. They see less support from women to women. And this is something I'm doing a lot to change that. And we also have good guys. I mean, let's put it on the table. We have a great guys also that support. I know, supporting you, supporting me. When I came up with crazy idea like WLOUNGE, the first people that, actually raised the flag and said, yes, we are here, they were guys. They also understand the problem and the challenge, because maybe they are fathers, maybe they are husbands. And this is even like a social approach for how we raise more successful companies. I call it, when I'm talking with European Commission, for example, when it comes to Horizon 2030, they declare that this is for female founders. That's the game changer, and for female raising fund. But on the same time, how we really fix the problem. We take the guys and we make them our allies. And I know you do it as well, but it's again coming to culture. Do you feel this is really existing in New York, or this is still like really back, as I comparing Germany to Israel, for example?
Well, I mean, I think, New York is known for being an incredibly supportive place for women founders. We get together, we support one another, we champion one another. And I'm hoping that the work, as part of the castle in Berlin, bringing that to Berlin and have women support one another, because we're here for each other. We understand where each other is. And I think, Cindy, you made the point of women, that there are only certain places in the corporate world. Do you want to talk about that for women?
Yeah, but I was going to say, you mentioned that women don't always support women. That is a syndrome that is driven entirely by men. Because when women know that there is only ever room for one token woman on the board, on the leadership team, in the investment group, that forces them to compete with other women, which is a dynamic that I deplore. When you elevate many more women, you completely take away that syndrome. I call it Highland, the only one. When you so there is only ever room for only one woman, that goes away completely. And women's natural instinct is to absolutely women. And to Susan's point, New York is absolutely deemed to be a very supportive, much more so than San Francisco and the Bay Area.
This is strong. This is strong. And the only woman in the room supposed to be also on us, as a responsibility to pull up others,
Yep.
to support
Absolutely.
each other, to make sure that if you get this seat, you have to make sure that you're not the only one, I mean, you have an amazing role model in the White House right now. They're talking about this a lot. Hopefully, we will keep having this also in Germany, in Europe, much more. And this is very, very important that other people will listen to that, because Cindy, and of course, Susan as well, I think the most important thing that we are doing here when we talk about raising capital, a lot of capital, tons of capital to supporting women and to supporting diversity, it's coming back to the diversity, because you mentioned corporates, almost zero women in board members. And if yes, it's maybe one only because of some quota that no one really wants to follow. This is why I'm trying to compare it to what's happening in the state, because here, Germany has to come with a law to force that. Not that this is really happening or really forcing, but it's a statement. It's a big step.
And by the way, Mali,
the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yep. I am all in favor of affirmative action when it comes to women on boards, because affirmative action has been happening for men on boards for centuries. Men have been put on boards because they're men. It's about time we put brilliant women on boards because they're women. And, I just want to leave our listeners under no illusion at all about everything we're talking about. Rest assured that every female founder and every female founded fund wants to make our investors an absolute goddamn fucking shit ton of money. Okay? We're not here to play. We are here to make an absolute goddamn fucking shit ton of money. As I said at the start of this session, we are a massively devalued asset class. We are like Bitcoin 10 years ago. You can get us now, rock bottom cheap, and you will not believe the returns you get. So everybody listening to this podcast, you should be rushing to fund female founders and fund female founded funds now. And by the way, also rush and fund Make Love Not Porn, Cindy at makelovenotporn.com. Drop me an email.
Big time, big time. And you actually triggered me right now to say also what about, I would call it super smart older ladies, because this is a big miss up for the workforce,
No, absolutely, Mali, because, the reason to especially invest in and hire we older people, or as I like to call us, experts, is because older talent, older founders, older talent are so enormously time and cost efficient. When you've been round the block 64 million times, I've been a CEO and, by the way, a startup founder in the advertising industry for years before I became a tech founder. When you've been round the block that many times, you know exactly what to do in any business crisis situation. You know exactly what strategy to deploy. You move way quicker. It is far more time and cost efficient to back older founders and hire older people. And by the way, that absolutely doesn't exclude the talents of younger people. I believe the future is cross-generational working. Younger and older working together, as we have the chance to do in startups brilliantly, but in a way that we don't see in the corporate world, because hierarchies demand, you're older at the top, younger, to work together on a level playing field. That's the future opportunity for startups. But that's absolutely why older founders are absolutely the ones to fund.
And let me just add that, I think that when I hear people saying, oh, on our board, we can't find any good women, or there are no women to hire, or there are no, I'm running a fund and I can't find a woman partner is good enough. It just means that people aren't trying hard enough. They're just looking in their one little circle. Same with speakers at conferences. You need to reach out to as many people as possible. And if you have in your mind that you are going to hire a woman or promote a woman or feature a woman, then, and you're determined to do it, then you will do it. I'll give you an example. My husband's an investor. He wanted to hire, he wanted to bring in a partner, and they had at the time, and they were determined that they were going to make it more diverse and inclusive to make them a better investment team. And you know what they did? They realized they wanted to hire women. They just interviewed women. And guess what? They hired a woman. It just means you have and then you'll make it happen.
Susan, this is fantastic.
And by the way, Mali, I am actually a brilliant tech venture board director. I bring decades of experience in what every venture needs, which is marketing. Okay. In fact, years ago, when the New York Times called Twitter out for having no women on its board at the time, the New York Times went, here are a number of women that Twitter should put on its board, and I was one of them. I am still not sitting on any big tech venture board. By the way, I'm sitting on a number of startup boards as an advisor, but the big accredited tech, nobody's invited me to be a board director, and I would make a brilliant board director.
And I'll second that. I mean, Cindy has the vision. She's got the chops. She's got the experience. She is the ultimate expert in marketing and how to blow up a brand in a good way.
And I will only emphasize that big time. And this is one of the biggest reasons for this talk show. I'm not a media person, but I'm absolutely on in when it comes to finally make a change and bring the right voices, in the right years. And you talked about vision, and we all have a big vision. We dream about, let's call it SoftBank just for the discussion, but SoftBank that owns by women. Imagine with the right attitude, with the right mission, with the right, shifting the big ship for better future. So I want to have this discussion closure by hearing your vision. And I know it's amazing vision that we see it differently, what is existing today. Susan, what is your vision?
So my vision is a future, actually, frankly, run by women, because it's the high time that women take their place in the boardrooms, running. And frankly, given the world and the state it's in right now, I'm sure we could do a hell of a lot.
And I would echo that, because I say to men regularly, we live in a world where the default setting is always male. Men, you have no idea how much happier you would be in a world that is 50-50 equally informed, managed, influenced, led, and driven by all of us. And so, you can make that world. Just start funding us, and you will be building a world that will make you so much happier. You have no idea.
You and your families and your around you too. Yeah.
What can I say? What can I add? I mean, we just need to keep pushing what we're already doing. And my message out of here is like the same energy that we are right now is women supporting women. Gather together, keeping the force united. And this is how we really make a change.
And say, I'm so thrilled that this is the Mali talk show, that you're owning this talk show and lifting women up. And this is exactly, where you should be. And you say you're not in media, you're in media now. And I think it's fantastic.
Oh my God.
Because, you have launched the Mali show to do something that we don't see other podcasts and talk shows doing, which is to make shit happen. And I look forward to all happening because of your show.
Yes, in a good way and in a bad way. We are ready.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And it's a lot thanks to you too, and you know it. And all the rest I will tell you in private. But I'm very, very, very proud and happy to have you here and also in my life. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.